As you age, stiffness settles into your joints, and this can make it more difficult to move around and maintain an active lifestyle.
This video is directed at me. Maybe you, but it's definitely directed at me because Jody is as flexible as they get. But it's true. As your body slows down and it ages and it gets stiff, everyday activities start to feel more strenuous than they used to, and that is not a good place to be.
A sedentary lifestyle only makes this situation worse. We all see this too often in our clients, and we want to help you avoid this as much as possible.
Now, we're working on my stiffness.
We are.
By playing
We're
pickleball.
working on your flexibility.
Flexibility. Yeah, the stiffness is there. I'm good at that. That part's there. We're working on my flexibility.
Right.
But there's a lot of things we're doing. We started playing pickleball down here at the YMCA on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we play in a round robin. And that we stretch before we play. We stretch after. That's new for me.
Right.
But it's an interesting sport because there's probably 60 people there.
Probably, and most
And
of
they're
them are
older.
I would say all of them are 50 and older.
Some are 66 like me.
And we
or
don't
older.
see many people stretching before or after, and we also see many injuries. You know, the woman who runs the program, whose name also is
Jody
Jody
with an I.
with an I,
Yeah.
she can't stop talking about this enough, but people just don't seem to listen.
Well, last week we were playing, some guy fell down and he tore his Achilles tendon. And you also can get tendinitis by not stretching. You know, we're learning more and more about stretching, or I am, because again, you're really good at this with yoga. But it is really critical to stretch as much as you can so that you can overcome the stiffness and stay limber well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s.
You know, flexibility benefits you in more ways than one. It improves your movement overall, and it helps prevent simple strains and injuries, including muscles and disc strains,
Right.
shoulder strains, and certainly that ever-present backache that many people feel.
You know, a friend of ours, mom just fell and broke her hip. And, you know, there's this whole concept about, we're not talking about muscle today, but having good muscle around your bones and also stretching your muscle is going to improve your posture. It's going to help or prevent, falls and injuries. And it's also going to enhance your joint range of motion, which is important.
You know, we live active lives with, as we've told you, pickleball, golf, cycling. You work out using weights. I do yoga, power yoga with weights, sculpting classes.
But everything you do is more stretching.
But that's new for me. And, all through my career, I didn't do a lot of stretching. I did a lot of like HIIT power,
Right.
like weight training activities.
Well, we would rush to the gym, right,
Right.
and get to a routine. It was all about doing the circuit with
As
the weights
quick as
and
you
all that,
could,
quick as
yeah.
you could to get to work.
But yoga, and besides yoga, you know, you just want to make sure that you are becoming more flexible because it has benefits to your outside muscles. It
Right.
also has benefits to your internal organs as you twist and stretch.
Mm-hmm.
My one yoga teacher calls it internal housekeeping. Whenever you sit and do like a real deep stretch, it really helps your organs on the inside.
I think we should have called this video Yoga for a More Flexible Life. How's that?
It wasn't going to be about that, but I'm
But it's-
happy to pivot and talk only about
Well,
yoga if you want.
Well, it is good that you do it 5 days a week. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to commit to, when we get back to Connecticut, I'm going to come to yoga 1 day a week.
Wow, that would be great.
But it's got to be an easy one, not one of these crazy hard ones.
You know, I was a college athlete and I loved going to the gym and I loved competition for the greater part of my life. You know, for years as I was working and raising children, you know, I just fit the gym in like whenever I could. You know, and I lost focus on really what I was trying to accomplish while I was there.
Well, we were trying to accomplish checking off the box.
Right.
And it has to be more than that because we lost focus. We didn't really worry much about flexibility until after we retired. And I think that that's really the main point of this episode today is really the importance of stretching, right?
Yeah, because it's funny when you're just fitting the gym into your lifestyle, you really don't stretch before and you really don't stretch after because you have a limited amount of time. So you jump into your class or your weights or your cardio and then you leave. But now that we're retired, we have learned the benefits of stretching and flexibility.
Right.
I preach it all the time in our house. And I'm hopeful that Mark will start to
I'm going to start. I
get
know I
on
am.
board.
I am. I can almost touch my toes now. I'm working on that.
Well,
So let's talk about the three main types of stretching because, just saying we should stretch isn't enough. You really need to know what you're doing and you need to be careful. But there's three types of stretching you can do with little or no equipment or investment of any kind, right?
And really, if you think about it, the first one is something you did way back in grade school, right? It's called static stretching. This is where you hold a position for 30 seconds and then relax. You repeat it again 3 to 5 times before moving to another stretch. And the big key here is not to bounce, right? So
Yeah,
not to
so-
lean over to touch your toes and then bounce, bounce, bounce. Lean over and hold for 30
So this
seconds.
is like touching your toes.
Yep.
Now I can just about touch my toes, but you should get up and show them.
I am
You
not.
can put your hands flat on the floor
I can.
in front of your feet.
I can, which is
That's about this much further bent over than me.
which is a new kind of accomplishment, which shows you that the more static stretching you do, the further you're going to go.
I'm feeling really inadequate right now. Just
Don't
want
feel
to say.
inadequate.
I do. I
You
do.
just need to work on it.
I'm going to. I have to.
The second type is called isometric stretching,
I know
right?
what this is.
So this is similar to static stretching. You hold the position and gently stretch your muscle during the stretch. And then you hold the pose for 15 to 20 more seconds, contracting and relaxing your muscle during that time.
I don't get it. Can you please show us what you're
I
talking
am
about?
not gonna show you.
because I don't know what it is.
But this,
Give me an
this
example.
stretching will improve your strength and flexibility because you're flexing and releasing your muscle.
Is this like jumping jacks?
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, what's the third kind?
So the third kind,
'Cause
this
I'm-
is where you're going. The third type is dynamic stretching.
Oh, that's jumping jacks and burpees, right?
Well, kinda, but not
What?
really.
Ugh.
So this involves actively moving your muscles and joints in a set motion in repetition for usually 10 or 12 times. So it's more like, like head rolls. Like you want to really roll your head around and
You roll your head at
stretch.
me all the time.
No, I
Is
roll
that
my
stretching?
eyes at you all the time. The other thing it could be is like walking lunges or leg swings or even hip circles. The idea is to stretch a little further each time using fluid movements.
Ugh, feeling very inadequate. I definitely need help. Will you help me?
Well, if
Or
you
just-
all, and you in
Yeah.
particular, are open to help, there is so much research about stretching. And I have to tell you, I'm going to hold you accountable for
Okay.
this because you just declared you'd go to yoga,
Yeah.
which is like huge. I can't wait to call Courtney and tell her you'll be there.
Okay.
And the other thing is the progress that you can make, you can actually see, you can actually feel. And you get looking forward to kind of pushing a little bit harder without bouncing in each one of the stretches.
It's funny. I do stretch using my Freeletics app. There's a warm up, and then I work out with burpees and push ups, things like that, and then there's a stretch at the end. But I'm actually just thinking it's just, again, checking the box. Well, I
Right.
should do this move and I should do that move. But I'm not really doing it with the intent of becoming more flexible.
Right.
And I think that's a mind shift that I have to have. Because you're yoga 5 days a week. I mean, you're just incredibly limber and stretchy.
And I'll tell you, it
Stretchy,
helps
a good
me with
word?
my physical wellness vision of not only being physically independent,
Right.
but being able to get down and up on the floor with great grandchildren, grandchildren, and even continuing to play sports. I think it's really important.
All right. I'm going to do this jumping, stretching.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it 3 days a week, 15 minutes of stretching.
I'll take pictures
I'm
and
going to
post them on
start.
Instagram.
I'm going to start with rolling my eyes and then my head.
Like anything, to get the benefits, you really have to do it, consistently and, over time. But you will see the results. When I started yoga, I could barely touch my toes. Now I can lay my hands flat on the
know.
floor. And actually, the other day when we were playing golf and I was on the golf cart and we were parked, I actually went down to stretch and I went below my feet,
You're such
down
a show off.
to a rock. So, but it's encouraging, I think.
Well, listen, It's something that is really important, and we know it's important. I'm not doing it, and I need to do it.
You do.
And I'm making a commitment to you to do more stretching.
Good.
Right? Now, if you thought this video was great, and we hope you did, this next one, finding your path to physical wellness, besides looking at creating healthy physical habits and routines, we're going to take you on a journey to create a vision for your physical wellness. So watch this next video next.